Did you know that it's only humanly possible to press a button on a controller 16 times per second? The record was set by a Japanese executive and gamer in the 1980s. You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode number 89. My name's Gareth Bryan, I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Well, hello there. How's it going?
Sound like a sailor. Well, hello there. Oh, very good. Very
it's
good.
a bit different, you know.
I know.
Bit of change.
Yeah, change is good. And on my virtual right is Mr. Darren Edwards. How you doing, Darren?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Gareth?
Very good. Really good. England are in the final, which we'll talk about a bit later on. I'm sure we will. I've just been offered a ticket this very moment on Facebook that I missed for the final for £260, sitting in the Italian end, but someone else has taken it. So I'm going to cry. But apart from that, I'm okay. And what have you been doing this week, Darren?
So when I've had the time, I've been getting to grips with the new Resident Evil CGI series on Netflix, Infinite Darkness. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
I have heard of it, yeah.
So as part of the 25-year anniversary, they've released 4 episodes, about half an hour each. I think originally it was to be a CGI film like the previous 3, I think there's been. So it was set just after Resident Evil 4 back in 2006. It's got Claire Redfield, Leon Kennedy, the same president who's referenced in that game's in it as well. So I've just watched the first one, but it's quite good so far. It's similar to the others. It starts off with everything's fine, and then all of a sudden zombies find their way in, and kind of snowballs from there, really. So I'm going to try and finish it off over the weekend.
I love the Resident Evil games. I'm really, I'm a big fan of just playing them. But I've got no idea what's going on in the lore of it and what timelines, who's who. But it doesn't matter when I'm playing the game for some reason. I mean, I recognise characters, but does this give it more of a sense of?
It does, yeah. It kind of, the CGI films kind of tie more closely to the games, whereas the live action films are just on their own tangent. Completely off tangent, actually. If you're a fan of the games, don't watch them. They're not very good. But yeah, the CGI films are more closely linked, so it fits into the timeline. I guess it's canon in terms of the game world.
Yeah. Okay. Good. James, what about you? What have you been playing this week or doing or whatever?
Well, I actually started watching Monsters at Work on Disney, which is the spin-off to Monsters Inc.
Oh.
And it picked up right after they turned the Monsters Inc. world into a laughter world rather than scary for power. It's just really good. They've got quite a lot of the same cast. You've got Billy Crystal and John Goodman, I think it is.
Yeah.
With Mike and Sully.
Okay.
And it's just about a new character coming in who's really scary, but has to learn to adapt to the trying to make kids laugh. It's actually really funny. There's 2 episodes at the moment, about 25 minutes each. Yeah, it's really good. I'd give it a watch.
Okay.
If you like Monsters Inc. It's very much the same kind of humour. It works in 2 levels. Kids will love it, and grown-ups.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, that's good. I've not done anything as exciting as you two watching things this week, but I have gone electric. I've actually bought myself an electric car. Because in London, you have to have where I live, you have these 2 things: the congestion charge, which is in the city centre, like other city centres have got as well. But also, you've got the air pollution. I think they're called OLES, which is like and that's moving to Zone 2 in London, where I live. So my car would have, I can actually move my car from where it parks without paying £15 a day. So it had to go. So I can't afford it. I bought this electric car. So it's coming in 2 weeks' time. But that's been my week sorting that mess out.
Oh, no.
But when you go in, I did a test drive of one last Saturday, and when you go in it, it's like driving a game. It's so weird. There's no gear stick, of course. There's no handbrake. Just all buttons, and that's it. It's amazing. Cameras everywhere. Yeah, so that's been me. But in other news, and while we're a day late, there's been a state of play announcement that came quite quickly. It was announced maybe 4 days ago, and so we all watched it last night. It's Thursday night, and we recorded today on the Friday. And they were pretty clear about what it was. They said it's not going to be anything. We're going to be doing Deathloop. There's going to be a bit of that and some indie updates. So they were quite clear about there wasn't going to be any huge new announcements. Definitely nothing about Horizon. Forbidden, whatever the hell it's called, Journey.
Even though everyone still expected something that big. Even when they get told that there's nothing coming, they go, "Oh, Silent Hill? Is that what you said?" No, not Silent Hill. Definitely.
If you look at the chat,
no, guys.
that chat bar, if you look at that chat bar in that first moment before it starts, it's like madness. All you got is people saying GTA 6, GTA 6. Oh, dear me.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, don't look at the chat bar ever. Except for one person who said, Deathloop, death poop.
Oh, dear.
So...
There's your tagline. Outside the game.
So let's talk about that first of all, because the biggest chunk of it, as we saw, was Deathloop, which was kind of like maybe a sort of 15-minute segment, maybe 10 minutes.
About 7 minutes.
Yeah. And it was the developer going through talking about the game a little bit more, and then just going through killing one of the people you have to sort of assassinate, I think, isn't it? In this,
one of the 8 people.
Yeah. How would you sum this game? Darren? You got a good way of summing what this game is about? I'm still a bit confused.
I mean, I really like the look of it originally when we saw it at E3 a couple of years ago, I think it was, at the Bethesda showcase. And it's you've got 8 assassins hunting you, essentially, or there's a group of 8 that you're kind of in conflict with, and you get a lot of free roam and choice in terms of how you go taking down your opponents as well. So in the trailer there was a really cool kind of teleport ability, so you could zap from window to window across buildings, and you could sneak up on people and take them out in various brutal ways. It was quite gory, even though it's kind of a cel-shaded, almost got a bit of a Team Fortress 2 vibe to it. So I still don't exactly know what's going on, if I'm being honest, when I watched it.
I know.
Yeah, I came away thinking that looks cool, but I'm still a bit kind of confused and maybe that's the point. Maybe they don't want to reveal everything, because it's not too long before it's released, is it, either? So I'm intrigued. It's something that I'm a bit disappointed we're going to have to wait for on Xbox, but yeah, it looks good.
And James, it's not because it's not a roguelite, is it? I think that's the thing. It's not, even though when you die, the day restarts. But I think they were quite clear in a kind of like a preview thing. It's not a roguelite where it's like you're just starting again and you're resetting, and it's every time you've got to do that. You're learning throughout the day, aren't you? You have to sort of die to kind of learn stuff sometimes. Is that right? Or
you learn more about I think they're called, whatever they're called, the people you're trying to kill.
Right.
The 8 people. You learn more about their movements and where they hang around, and try and get an idea of where to assassinate them from without being killed yourself. So it's a bit of trial and error at first to work out who they are and where they are. So that's kind of your knowledge going forwards. And I think the game actually gives you a little bit of help as well. I don't know if you saw in the trailer, there's words on the wall that kind of guide you towards hints and stuff.
And you don't lose everything. This is what I got from it. You don't lose all your skills. You're not starting from scratch. You're kind of gaining some weapons still, or are you keeping some of the stuff that you learnt from that bit? Is that right or not? We're not sure, are we?
I think it's a case of you get certain maybe abilities that let you retain things that you've got in a previous run through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's a bit like Returnal, isn't it, in that respect? But like dying's part of it, and it doesn't reset all your progress.
Yeah,
right.
And you can rewind twice, which means you lose nothing.
Mm-hmm, I like that. Yeah.
I thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, that is good.
James, did you? Sorry.
No,
I was just saying, did you like the look of it this time around? Because you wasn't that impressed the first time around, I remember.
I think it's got more legs in it now than I initially thought. I thought it would be a case of a couple of hours, you're probably done with it. But just that one guy, I think it was the Wolf, I think you call him. You could easily spend a couple of hours working out how to take him down. It could take forever. I'm hoping there's some kind of, like, checkpoint after each kill. It could be a nightmare.
Yeah,
to kill all eight at once.
Yeah, well, that must be. Yeah, they must be a check. I mean,
yeah, a bit more excited.
The problem was the person who was playing it was always great with these shows. He was brilliant at it.
Oh, they were amazing.
Yeah, I
he
thought
took
that.
a guy in the air and flung him across. And that ability, that was amazing.
Yeah. And so it never gives you it doesn't show you sort of like jumping about 20 times trying to get onto a ledge, which would be me, or falling off.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, dying when you fall off.
Yeah.
Restarting because your own terrible skills.
Yeah. And the other thing which they kind of clarified a bit more was the there was a noise that happened, and they went, it was like a bell noise, and they said, this means you're being hunted now by the AI or a player, real player.
Yeah, another assassin.
Yeah.
Called Juliana, I think it is. That could be a pain in the backside.
Do you think you'll have the option to turn that off, or
Yes,
make it just
Yeah.
a computer person?
Yeah.
I mean, there's something. So, is in essence, I'm asking you questions you don't know the answer to yet, of course. So, but in essence, could I join a game of Deathloop and just become the person who's just going to go in and hunt someone and go into someone's game and try to kill them?
That would be fun. Nice.
A bit like Watch Dogs. You could go into the game and start hacking them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be like that, but obviously we've got it turned off in the settings, and you'll be safe.
Yeah.
It will be optional. Definitely.
If you get frustrated, just rip your router out and then you're safe and you can play on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I'll be honest, I got much more interested in it than I have been before. Through this walkthrough, I just thought, this is quite good. It's whether I get it for the PS5 or I wait to get it for free a year down the line. That's the big question.
Yeah, I don't think it's a must-have, is it? Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe.
I don't think that's what they try to do though, with this showcase. Because otherwise, why choose a game that's limited exclusive as a main feature? Unless they really want to try and convince people not to wait. That could be their only reason for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks alright.
Yeah, it does. It does. It looks better.
Don't know.
Coming September. It's 14th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 14th.
Yeah, very soon. Not far away at all. Another one was, which we knew about, which is Death Stranding Director's Cut, coming to PlayStation 5. I think if you got the PlayStation 4 version, you pay an extra £10 or something, or $10, and you get the PlayStation 5 version. I've forgotten. James hasn't played it. Have you played it, Darren?
No. I didn't. It didn't really, for a Kojima game, it didn't really draw me in. To be honest, it looked like there was a lot of exploration and not a lot of action in it. But I don't know whether it's just the way they've cut the trailer together. It looks like it's more than a simple kind of graphical update. There seemed to be more combat and a bit more happening in the trailer. So I'm hoping they've kind of evolved the gameplay a little bit. if they have done, I might give it a look because it is intriguing, but it just a bit like No Man's Sky when that launched. I thought it's a bit empty for me as an experience.
James, sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, maybe you can explain what's actually new in the director's cut, because what I got from it was that now you can play a bit of Forza in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, there was that, wasn't there?
And do some shooting like Metal Gear.
And you got some little robot friends. Yeah, this is the hardest bit. I think it's a case of like, see, I love that game because of the exploration stuff. I loved actually delivering stuff. I just like doing that and going through these amazing landscapes with this beautiful music soundtrack that suddenly just launches in at some point. That's the kind of best thing about it. And then the story and the journey and the actual main narrative is crazy. It's a crazy, crazy narrative, but it's really interesting. The combat stuff, for me, just got really not boring, especially the kind of like you meet these things called these kind of spirit creatures. I've forgotten the name of them. And that gets really dull after a while because it's the same thing. And it's the same thing with you come across these sort of camps of nomads who are like pirates who will nick your stuff. And that's what we saw a little bit more of, like some extra animation in how you fight them.
It was, right.
Yeah. If you want that playing, the thing is, it's not going to get me to go back and play it again. I can't go through that again. 60, 70 hours of it. Because I think the story is going to be the same. They did say there's some additional story content, which will be like extra missions, I think, probably, rather than...
I think it's just woven into it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not at the end or anything, so
yeah,
you would have to play it again, really.
Yeah, I think you would.
Get the full...
And that would be hard
experience.
To do. But if you haven't played it, it's really worth giving it a go. Especially on the PlayStation 5. I mean, it looked beautiful on PlayStation 4, so I don't know what it's going to look amazing.
I mean, I'll have to add it to the ever-growing list.
Absolutely.
Of games to play,
Absolutely.
for sure.
I can't believe the racing bit got cut in the first place.
I can't see how that...
It seems perfect for it.
Wow. Let's move on. Sifu. Is it Sifu? Sifu, which is the punchy game, the fighting kung fu game.
Punch, die, get a bit older, and so on.
And we liked the look of this last time. We loved it when we saw it last year. This time they were very clever when they kind of just showed how it works. He's in the punch. It kept going. The age kept sort of like on a dial, kept getting longer. 42, 46, 50, 54. And then at the end of it, they did the same thing with 2021, and then it went to 2022.
That was a bit cheeky, I thought.
So it's delayed, isn't it? We know it's coming early to 2022. It looks interesting. I mean, it still looks interesting. We didn't see much more of it. We probably saw more of it in trailers before, didn't we?
Yeah, I'd like to see more. I'd like to know more. But yeah, it does look like it could be a bit of fun, especially if there's multiplayer elements to it or whatnot as well.
Yeah.
The combat's just so fluid.
Yeah.
I think the way that the character moves to interact, I mean, it looks like the next upgraded version of the Batman games. With the combat. The movement's so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, just imagine bringing together so many different attacks to take out loads of different bad guys. The possibilities seem endless with the types of moves you can do, with the environment as well.
I was wondering, when you die, you obviously come back and you're older. And does he?
Yeah.
Do you think you might get more experience? Do you think as you get older, do you learn more moves? Are you slower? All those things really interest me.
I think you get stronger almost.
Yeah.
I think the older you get, but at one point you do actually just die, and you've got to start again.
There must be a point where it gets too much.
No.
It's probably 100.
Just be about 95 and just wandering around looking at walls, don't know where you are. Next game, Lost Judgment, which is a sequel to Judgment in the Yakuza series, Yakuza series.
Another one for you.
Yeah. And that's coming in September, isn't it? I think.
September 24th.
September
Yeah.
24th.
On every console. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
As in Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, and old and new gen.
Mhm.
I don't know what else to say. I've not played the... Richard reviewed it, didn't he? He said it was all right, didn't he? He liked it.
Yeah. It always looks interesting. But then it baffles me. I mean, it's absurd that you go from... I think the trailer started with a murder trial. And then next week you do a dancing minigame and a bit of skateboarding.
Talking of racing as well, there was a bit of racing in there as well, wasn't there?
Yeah,
It's
like
like Mario Party, but with Yakuza at one point.
Yeah. Apparently that's because you've got to go undercover at a school.
Oh,
And in school you've got to take the dance class and do a bit of skateboarding with the other kids.
wow.
As you do. As a grown adult. It's strange.
I've just been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon because it's free on the... Oh my god! There's something about it I really like, but God, I think I've played for about 6 hours, but I've watched 5 hours of cutscenes. I don't think I've done anything. I think I moved once. Yeah, I don't know how long I can handle that.
Yeah, it's definitely full of story.
Yes.
Same with all the accusers.
Yeah. Well, one day I'll finish one. One day. Demon Slayer. I'm going to go off now for a bit because I have no idea, but I thought James and Darren might like this.
What is it? What's the full name of the game?
It's something.
No.
It's something that I can't say. The Hinokomi Chronicles?
Let me try.
Yeah, go on, you do it.
It's Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles.
Good.
And it's based on the Demon Slayer anime. And I haven't seen Demon Slayer, so I'm not really familiar with the story. But my god, that trailer looked like an anime series.
It really did.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it really did.
You wouldn't believe you were playing a game if you were playing it. Yeah, it's a fighting game, really. There's not much more else to say about it. But it does look decent.
When is it out? Is it out soon?
October 15th.
Oh, right, okay. Oh. So you like the look of it, James? You're really up for this, are you?
Yeah, I'll probably watch the anime in the build up to it. Just to get in the mood.
Dan, are you excited about this?
Potentially. I don't know anything about it or the anime, but I have watched some anime in my time, and the bit that stood out for me was, as James said, just how good it looked. It looked like you were playing an anime. So I'll probably give it a look, depending on price points, etc.
Yeah.
And it's the same developers that did Dragon Ball Kakarot.
That's interesting.
Of a decent quality.
Yeah, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. You can talk about it a bit more if you want. I've got nothing to say.
Anything to add?
No, nothing at all on this. Nothing on this. I just saw a guy running down a corridor for a long time, shouting.
That's anime.
Yeah, that's
a lot of running.
It's very faithful.
Still frames. Yeah.
Right, let's talk about a game I really like. This is my favourite one out of the lot, I think.
Can I guess what it is?
Is it... Go on then, you do it.
Is it Tribes of Midgard?
No. It's Jet, the Far Shore. Which we knew was coming, but we saw a lot more of it this time. And I think it's coming 2021 still. They said it's still this year. And it's this kind of game which they talked about, which is all about really exploration. You're in these kind of like spaceships that are zooming across it. It's all about travel, these kind of like alien world landscapes, which we saw before. So we saw this kind of ship, going across these huge landscapes. But here it seems to be more, there's a story, there's a group of travelers all together. So you've got bits that you can get out of the ship, have a bit of exploration in first person. There seems to be homes or hubs that they all meet and chat. But I think the thing that they said about it is there's not going to be any combat. It's not about solving that through combat. I think there's a bit when they had to escape really quickly, but there isn't. It's all about you. Has that kind of No Man's Sky thing about you exploring the planet and tagging creatures or plant life, and that's your it's perfect for me. Nice and easy, nice and relaxing.
Yeah, very laid back.
Very laid back, yeah. But I really like the look of it. I thought, oh, this is more interesting than I thought it was going to be, and I was sold before. Anyone else like the look of that? You two?
Yeah, I do. I know I kind of dump on No Man's Sky quite a lot on this podcast, but that type of element really is intriguing to me. If it's just filled with things to do and a really good narrative, then I think it could be one of those games that on a rainy day you shut the curtains, you can lose yourself in it for a good few hours. It does look really pretty. Reminds me of an indie game I played last year called Feather. You play as a bird and you just kind of explore and just kind of chill out. It's almost like an experience rather than a game. So I'm quietly excited about it as well.
So that should be this year. And also this year we got that, and we got Sable, which has a very kind of similar feel to it, which is going to be really interesting. So it's going to be a real big, heavy indie autumn this fall. Some really big hitters coming out from August, really. So it's going to be exciting, I think. Fist, which is... What the hell is Fist? It's Talking Rabbit, which I really liked. Sort of like cool Talking Rabbit.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Is it a platformer? No, it's not. Was it a Metrovania type game? I've got no.
Metrovania, I think.
Okay.
I think the cutscenes look amazing.
Yeah.
And then when you see the game, you think, can we have more cutscenes?
I thought the backgrounds looked great because it's that 2.5D kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I just want to see the rabbit.
Yeah. I like the look of this. It could be good. I think it's going to be rock hard. I think it's going to be really hard. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it just loads a little.
Didn't very much, did it?
No, there's a little clip of a kind of boss battle. It looked like, didn't it? And I thought, oh no, that's going to be horrendous. Now I'm going to move us through Moss Book 2. So Moss is a VR game. It's the only VR game they had. And Moss came out on the original VR. It's quite. I think you play a mouse. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard it's meant to be quite good.
Yep. The mouse only communicates with you through sign language. That's what made it quite interesting. She doesn't speak, and you seem to interact with the environment to help Krill get around it. You don't really control Krill. You're kind of like some overseeing
godlike person.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Well, that's
it does look very good. I mean, for VR, it's full of puzzles, and I think Krill as a character is just quite lovely.
Yeah.
So if I had VR, I'd definitely give it a go.
I mean,
I'm not going to lie. Sorry, I probably won't play it because it's VR, but it does look quite interesting, as you say.
It's funny the VR stuff, isn't it? Because there hasn't been that many announcements for the VR for the next year, and that's probably to do with the rumours they're going to do a new VR for next year, aren't they? 2022.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's interesting though because they released Half-Life Alyx, didn't they? Which was a sequel I really didn't see coming after all the years of campaigning for Half-Life 3. So there's definitely still legs in the VR market, but I've never got it myself, not for any console.
No, I think you're right. I think it's a really good thing with Half-Life. Everyone knows had the equipment to play Half-Life Alyx. It's amazing. But you're going to need something huge. You're going to need a PlayStation. That's probably what they're aiming for in that next next headset to kind of get that kind of stuff going. That level.
It's never really got going as VR. It's craft and strutted.
It's not as tacky as it was in the 90s or whatever, but it's a bit more grown up these days. But it hasn't grabbed the imagination yet of people. I don't know if it's just because consoles themselves are so expensive these days, and it's quite an expensive peripheral to have on top of that. So people think, oh, maybe I'll get it next year, and then kind of never get around to it.
I think also, I mean, Richard's going to argue with us for this because he's a VR person, but I think there is an element I find, and I said to you before, I like the fact that I can, when I play games, I have to sort of snatch moments of stuff, and I can easily just press pause on the controller. Now with the Xbox, switch off and I can restart.
Yeah,
It's quite quick to do that and do other stuff and answer phone calls with a VR helmet on. You've got to commit to your hours, haven't you? You've got to commit to it for an hour or 2 hours, and that's what
I
always.
think it's a bit of a workout.
Yeah,
It can be quite hard going, can't it?
yeah, exactly. 2 more games there to mention at the end was a game called Hunter Arena Legends, which is like a battle royale game with melee, almost like a fantasy feel to it.
Is it a Tekken battle royale?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an old school fighter, but battle royale. Yeah.
I mean, the good news is we can try it for free with the subscription thing in August. PS Plus, thank you.
The good news for me is I don't have that anymore. So,
is this going to make you sign back up, James? Or
no.
No, okay.
So we could play that. We'll try that, Darren.
We'll have a go.
We'll have a go. Yeah.
They tried to draw me in, putting a rubber duck on the end of a weapon. That was quite ingenious. But other than that, it's just not that well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's only 30 players as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a melee.
It's one of those things that could die very quickly, but hopefully it won't. Tribes of Midgard is the other one that's coming out, I think, in a couple of weeks, isn't it? July. And it's like I'm a bit bored of Vikings now. I've played a lot of Viking stuff. And it's set in that kind of world. It looks like a Diablo type thing. Is that fair to say? Hack and slash,
yeah.
But there's a season thing, so they've got a season Season of the Wolf, I think, is the first one, and they're going to keep updating that as they go along, where you can get loot and all sorts. It looks alright. I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Alright, I think. Not particularly excited about it, which might be harsh, but just didn't grab me.
I think in the long run it's going to be decent. I think by the time they've released all the content, I think it's probably worth. Because I think you can do co-op with like 10 players.
Oh,
which is really impressive.
Yeah.
But if you're only going to pay, I think it's 20 quid on day one, there's not really that much, really.
Yeah.
In one season of content. And you've got to wait and wait.
Yeah.
It's nothing special.
No. Good. Right, let's get on to some news. I think the PlayStation thing was fine. It was. Yeah, it was fine. If they do one of those a month, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was expecting a big kind of flashy one off the back of E3, but it seems like they're still going to go at their own pace.
Yeah.
Kind of do what they need to do, and that's that. So fair play, really, for not having to feel like they need to make up for not being at E3.
Yeah. Good. Let's talk about some news. There was a bit of a news announcement, which was the Nintendo Switch OLED is coming out. It's coming in. When's it coming next year? Is it October? Or this year?
I think it's this year, isn't it?
Is it? Okay, yeah.
Oh.
October 8th.
Yeah, that's the date.
I'm not a Nintendo person. I haven't got a Switch. You two have, haven't you? James has?
Yeah.
Yep. Is this exciting?
Well,
Darren go first.
Well, it's missing what a lot of people have asked for, which is a 4K output when it's in its dock, so you can play 4K on the telly. But the screen itself is larger and it's an OLED screen, so the unit itself has been upgraded, but everyone's a bit confused to why they haven't gone for the kind of full-on graphical update, because it was rumoured it was going to be called Switch Pro or whatever, but it's just seems to be called the OLED Switch for now. And it's going to be $350, so I don't know, around 300 quid probably. Which is quite a lot of money considering the screen's an inch larger than the last one, give or take. So, I mean, the original is still selling like hotcakes, isn't it? So it's a nice option, but it reminds me a bit of I'm going back a bit here, the Game Boy Micro. Does anybody remember that? Where they released that. It was tiny. You could hardly fit it in like two hands, and it just felt a bit of an odd choice. So I don't know if this is going to be one of those where if you're not going to really go for it, you could have waited and probably sold millions of original Switch units in the next year or two anyway. But yeah, maybe just a bit unnecessary is probably how I'm thinking about it at the moment.
Yeah. There's a rumour that there will be different Switch is going to come out in the next year or so. That there might be a Switch OLED, then there might be a Switch 4K, then are they going to be doing this rather than releasing a Switch 2?
They could do. I mean, you see that the generation lifespan is longer, isn't it, these days? And the Switch has kind of become Nintendo's place in the handheld and console market because it's a hybrid. That there's no sort of whispers around what the successor to the 3DS will be, if there will be one. So it might be that they do that, and it might be that the appetite grows in the next year or two for something more. But I don't think they need to release it so soon, if I'm being honest. And it just kind of, after it wasn't at E3, I wasn't expecting to hear anything about it, and it just kind of appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's quite odd.
Yeah, this is why, because it wasn't that much to shout about, was it? I mean, they had enough with, what did they have at E3? Can't remember.
Oh, for me, loads of re-releases of Naughty's IPs like Advance Wars and WarioWare, but it was a very kind of niche one, yeah.
Yeah, so announcing the fact that you've got a slightly bigger screen, a bit more memory, it's not really E3 worthy, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, yeah.
I mean, I think the one thing I did notice, which is quite handy if you've got a dodgy internet connection, you can now plug in wired to connect.
Oh, okay.
So that would be quite handy.
Yeah.
But otherwise, not much difference.
Yeah.
No, there's not. I like the white colour of though. It looks quite nice. I imagine it looks nice and dark, but that's about it.
It's the same price as a normal Switch, isn't it? It's not any
give or take.
Yeah. So I mean, people still can't get Switches, can they? It's still hard to get a Switch.
No.
So maybe they're just building their market a little bit better by letting people have this other one.
But then I was critical of the Switch Lite. I didn't think that would do well, but that seems to have done pretty well. So maybe people will go for it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll surprise me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got the collectors that'll buy one of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll buy a light, an OLED, a double OLED.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Assassin's Creed, which came out as a kind of like a rumor, like a leak. It's always a leak for Ubisoft. And then 2 days later, we're actually doing it. And this is the Assassin's Creed Infinity project. I'm a massive Assassin's Creed fan, as you might have heard before in this podcast. I don't know why I'm not excited about this. I don't know what it is. That's probably what it is. It's. I think the idea is that they're going to build a kind of big sort of multiplayer world. It's almost like the GTA 6 rumors when that first came out. The rumors were that you could travel between the Miami setting to the New York one to you're going across multiple worlds online, so you can swap. That's what the rumor was, first of all. And this has got a similar feel to it. You could swap historical settings, and it's this kind of. I still don't know what it is really. I mean, there's nothing. It's really early days. I think if they did it, it's going to be 4 or 5 years away, isn't it?
I don't think they know what it is.
No.
I think they want people to decide what it might be, and then they'll pick the best idea. Go with it. See what everyone wants.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I mean, the big thing is, like everyone's talking about, is that they keep talking. They all want some of that Fortnite and GTA 5 audience, which everyone is trying to get, aren't they? Every person wants that.
Oh, they want to slice that pie.
Yeah, they want to slice that pie, and they want that audience, and they like the fact that in both those games, you can change the game. Fortnite has changed their whole maps, haven't they? They've changed the whole thing, and GTA 5 has done that as well, but more with the kind of like what's going on in there, and create these kind of like stories and seasons and stuff like that.
And Red Dead.
Red
Red
Dead as
Dead
well.
Online.
Yeah.
It's like the evolution of DLC, really, isn't it? We said about lifespans of consoles, lifespans of games as well.
Yeah.
You can update and overhaul games so much easier than having to release sequels like, back in the old days.
But I think the problem we got as gamers, I think the worst thing for people to do, and this is the problem with any company, is to chase the money. If you as game developers stop, and this is what we've seen over the last 5 years, everyone's tried to do Fortnite or trying to do a version, and they failed badly. It's been like these games have just died. The reason Fortnite happened, I think, personally, first of all, it was the right timing. At the time, you had PUBG, which was successful for a while, and then Fortnite came out, which was free at that point. It was free, a free download, wasn't it, that you could get? And at that time, there wasn't those free games, and everyone started playing it, and then it got its audience suddenly. I don't think it was a planned business strategy with Fortnite at all. I think it happened upon them, and then they could build. We could do that, and I think with GTA 5, it's GTA. That's why it's successful. It isn't. It generally is a G. I mean, people were originally coming. People bought GTA 5 for the game, for the story, first of all, and the online was an extra bonus. And it's just that brand. So I know Assassin's Creed is a massive brand, but I don't know.
If they came out from day one and said, "Here's GTA Online," with nothing else, it probably wouldn't have taken off as well as it did. Because people got the story first and got into that world, and then thought, "Oh, let's see what the online's like." And then people made their own little communities, didn't they, from that?
Yeah.
But it was on its own. I wouldn't pay for it.
But maybe certain people now, on the devil's advocate, maybe people do. They don't play the main story. Maybe they just go online for GTA now. It's this whole other entity. But yeah,
I don't know work with Assassins though. It's a strange game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. I think it's a game that you're playing a character in a world. Yeah,
and learn about history. You're going to learn nothing in an online world full of people that you don't know, sometimes maybe you do know, or try to kill you just because they can.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Probably we just want to learn some history from 17th century.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know anything about this yet. And as James said, they probably don't at the moment. They probably just chat about it.
They're putting the figures out there, aren't they?
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Give us a little bit. See what I think.
Yeah. Two more things. We're running out of time, but that's okay. Two more things is for you Marvel fans. I'm a Marvel fan as well. They've got the What If series coming to Disney Plus on the Marvel side. I thought this looked quite interesting. It's an animation, isn't it? And the idea behind it is like it's like a sliding doors moment. What happens if Tony Stark didn't become Iron Man? He's saved at this point by someone from the Black Panther universe. Yeah.
It's like multiverse.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And I think it was a comic, wasn't it? It's a comic series, isn't it? And what if? So I think it's based on that. But I like the look of this. This is good. You two excited about this? Being Marvel fans?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Actually, when they announced the timeline, whenever it was, a couple of years ago, the next 3-4 years before the pandemic kind of laid waste to it, this was something that stood out because it's a great idea, I think, and it's a simple idea. I remember watching episodes of Doctor Who, for example, where they've done like alternate realities and what if different things happen. If you're a fan of the universe, to put characters together that might never meet or to change huge kind of critical points in the timelines of these shows and films, I think they could literally do anything. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
So the things we saw was Star-Lord was the Black Panther. What's the character's name from there? Yeah. And Tony Stark obviously had not become Iron Man. We don't know anything more about that story. I think Haley Atwell's character, what's her name? Agent Carter.
Captain Carter.
Captain
Peggy,
Carter.
yeah.
And she becomes like Captain Britain, I think, or something, isn't she?
Yeah, I can't remember what the comic book character's called, but yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
she takes the super serum.
Yes. Yeah, she becomes
Yeah.
super soldier.
It looks really good. It looks really good. And actually, most of the voice cast have all come back to do their characters, like Benedict Cumberbatch doing Doctor Strange. It's only, I think, Tony Stark, who obviously is Robert Downey Jr., has not come back, nor has, what's his name? Captain America.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, Carol Danvers, Brie Larson, and the Collector, who's what's his name? Yeah.
That's all right.
Yes, but everyone else seems to be back.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman's in it as well. So he must have recorded it before he passed away, which is quite interesting.
I mean, I think it'll be a good TV show.
Yeah.
It's a shame from the Iron Man back.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they still look like them, so as not to confuse people, but they're just not going to sound like them.
No. The last bit of the news before we're looking forward. That's coming out in August, isn't it, or soon, or the fall, or September?
August, yeah.
It's
not long after Loki finishes, because Loki finishes next week.
And I've got to watch that. I haven't seen any of it.
Good.
Really interesting thing. And there was a little EA little test. There was like a little interview that happened on Thursday. 4 people from Dyson, and they were just sort of chatting about, not really giving any hints away about Apex Legends and Battlefield a little bit, about how that works. But also, one of the things that I just found interesting, they talked about cloud, using the cloud more and more without getting for, I guess, when you're playing a game like Battlefield or something, it's actually downloading a lot of its assets and everything from the cloud, which we knew about that these consoles could do. And they were just basically, they were kind of giving hints that Battlefield might be doing this. Hints. But I think the idea is that it was, it's going to be the future kind of games. They would, you'll be able to see these huge kind of like landscapes or maps or stuff that's actually just downloaded, so it's not just using it all directly from the console. Which is interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting. I think I was reading that there was speculation that the Xbox One would take advantage of this when it first launched. So I do wonder how far away the reality is from the kind of theory with it. How quickly will we see it in action? Because xCloud's pretty amazing. The fact that you can stream Xbox games to your mobile device or whatnot. So it feels like it's possible, but I wonder how far away it actually is.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Sorry, James.
I was just going to say that with Battlefield, they said it will be good for the destruction aspect, like the buildings collapsing and such. But I thought they did that maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they had it looking fantastic for that time.
Yeah.
So I don't think... I don't know how much it will really improve.
Yeah.
In the end of it, but if it helps, then if it works, do it,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be exciting for other games.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, it's the Unreal Engine, the new one, isn't it? That's going to be using that quite a lot, the Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Now, very quickly, because we haven't got that long, what have you been playing? One game each this week. Still a bit, we're in that kind of slow period, aren't we? But we're playing lots of stuff. Darren, what have you been playing?
So I played a little game called Infinitrap Rehamstered, which was quite a fun game. It was a bit of a dungeon crawler, kind of a puzzle game at the same time, where essentially it's all quite cliched and slapstick, but it's quite fun to play. You're on the hunt for a kind of mysterious chalice, kind of treasure hunter, and you have to go through several dungeons at a time, and there's all sorts of traps, and you've got to have really quick reaction speeds, and there's zombies that chase you through, and there's a hamster in it for some reason who kind of guides you, and then you end up having to work alongside him, who belongs to another character, and it kind of goes from there. But it's quite interesting because it came out on PC, as a lot of these games do, and it had a level editor, but it doesn't have it on the Xbox, which is a real shame, because that would have been the best part of the game. There was a couple of levels that have been created by somebody, maybe the devs, but you couldn't go and create your own or share or download any. So that was a bit of a shame. But it's good for a few quid. It's a good shout if you're looking for something to blast through in a couple of hours.
Great. James, what about you? What have you been playing?
I spent a few hours with Walden, a game. That's its full title. As opposed to Walden the book, which is what it's based on, which is written by Henry David Thoreau, and it's about surviving, basically in the wilderness, in a cabin, but surviving upon your own means without luxuries. So you're basically going around the environment, getting food, fishing, making notes about the animals, the wildlife, the plant life. It's very much an exploration game with a little bit of survival going on. Because you've obviously got to keep well fed.
But not survival heavy.
No, I mean, if you don't get food for so long, for like 2 days, then you might faint. You just wake up where it's warm, in your cabin. So you don't lose anything really.
Right.
You got to get fuel for the fires, and again, it's not necessary. You can just enjoy the landscape and take it all in. It's a lovely experience.
Oh, brilliant.
And it's about the times as well, so it covers illnesses and slavery, and there's a lot of really important stuff going on if you get really stuck into it. It's very good. It's like £8.
Yeah, I fancied it. It's £8. That's great. Yeah, it's really interesting. You recommend it?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
And there'll be a review at some point in the near future. So look out for that.
Good. Will do. A game I've been playing last week or so is a game called Spirit of the North, and it came out on PlayStation 4, I think, last year. And I played it one of the EGXs a while ago when we could meet people in public. And I really liked it. Then you play a fox, and you're sort of like going through this kind of Icelandic landscape on a sort of, and it's sort of like it's non-verbal sort of visual storytelling. Very much like Journey. It has that kind of feel of that. It's a good comparison when you've not got a voiceover or a cutscene telling you what to do. It just starts. This fox looks out and sees this kind of red smoke, weird magical trail in a mountain far away, and off you go. And as you're kind of like running along as a fox, there's some little bits of platforming. You're basically then you sort of intertwine with a spirit fox, like a kind of ghost fox. There's 2 of you, and then you can sort of get possessed by the spirit fox, which gives you extra powers, like to be able to jump faster or speed through the air, or and it's this kind of journey through these kind of landscape, and then you sort of, there's ancient sort of civilizations, ruins crumble to the ground, there's skeletons of sort of men that were there that you can kind of like reanimate, release their souls. It's kind of Nordic mythology mixed in there, I think, as well. I love the journey, I love the adventure, I loved all that, which I've said in the review. I thought it was great. I like that type of game. The platforming is at times a bit of a nightmare. It doesn't feel weighted enough. It feels a bit floaty, so it doesn't feel that kind of accurate. And sometimes the kind of animation of what happens when they jump, it can get frustrating. If you can get past that, you have a great time. So it's a shame, because that's the only thing that let it down for me. It would have been quite a high score, but it gets a bit, when a platform doesn't get it right. It's like I'm playing Ratchet and Clank still at the moment, which is perfect in that terms. They know exactly what they're doing. And this is a small developer, but it's but yes, Spirit of the North, that's out now. I think it's about £15, maybe, or it's a bit more. It's worth having a look if you can get past that bit. But yeah, it's really, I enjoyed myself 4 to 6 hours. That's our games. What are we looking forward to in the next week or so before we go? There's maybe one thing.
I would say looking forward to. It could go either way. It's big final
It's a
in the
big,
Euros.
yeah. England are playing at this time. Italy in the. If you don't know this, I don't know. Like I'm announcing it, like you don't know. On Sunday,
Here first.
yeah. We at Xbox Hub Towers had a sweep. We had to start the thing as a sweepstake on teams, and my team Italy are still in it. But obviously, I don't want Italy to go anywhere near that. And who's got England?
Dave.
Dave's got England, yeah. So
Yeah.
but yeah, England, Italy. It's been great. What do you think? What's your Darren? Have you enjoyed the? I've watched nearly every game. What do you think?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I love international football anyway, and it took a while to get into it, but the knockout stages have been fantastic. Even as a neutral, watching the games that didn't include England, but yeah, I think we've really settled into the tournament. We've only conceded one goal from a set piece, so they're going to have a lot of momentum going into the game. I think it's going to be close. I hope it's not going to be a trouncing. I can't see it happening. Defence has been pretty solid. So, as James said, I don't know whether I'll enjoy it or not, but it remains to be seen. 10 o'clock on Sunday, hopefully.
Yeah. James is a massive England fan, James.
I like football. I'm enjoying the tournament. I mean, I wish I could say I support any team in the final other than Italy. There we go.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's just amazing seeing what the reaction is. Where are you going to be watching it? James, you going to be watching it at home?
Yeah, more likely.
Yeah.
I might listen to it on the radio. Like road school.
Oh, it's got, yeah.
Bit of 5 Live.
Darren, where are you seeing it?
We'll watch it at home. We'll probably have a couple of friends around trying to get into anywhere because you still have to book, don't you?
Yeah.
Under the restrictions and it's just mad. But then I'm sure the streets will be filled with fans either way.
Yeah.
But we're going to stay at home. Yeah.
I don't want to be in a box park in my whole life.
I know, it looks so much fun.
Yeah, it looks like hell on earth.
This is a mosh pit. Not concert.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching it at home as well. But yeah, very exciting. Just on the other games, there's a game coming out next week. It's a little indie game called Where the Heart Leads. And I think we saw it in some of the indie showcases. That's coming out next week, which is a shock on PlayStation 4 and 5. It's
I can remember it.
Yeah, it's a kind of little story-led thing. It looks quite interesting about relationships. Yeah, it's that's worth kind of a little look on.
It sounds like a 1990s ITV kind of drama soap.
It does. I think that's what it's like. I think that's what it's like. Yeah. God. Right, you two. Brilliant. Thank you very much. If we need to talk to you, to find you, to ask your views on the football, James, where can we get hold of you?
If you're going to talk about England, don't get hold of me. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at OKUKO.
If you can just Twitter Kid, it's coming home. That's all you need to do for the next week. And Darren, where can we go on you?
I'm also on Twitter at 27Darren.
27 everybody. And you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at GB Briley. But for now, gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You had found all the notes for this show at www.thexboxhub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.